You're a legend, man. I've been reading you since I was in college.
I am so honored to hear that. I also feel very old.
Yeah, so one of your superpowers, I feel, is that you always manage to explain important internet digital rights concepts in a very simple manner. So what is Enshittification?
Well, it's, I've worked for this nonprofit called the Electronic Frontier Foundation, sort of a digital human rights group for 25 years. And I've been, thank you. And I've been trying to, easy now. I'm trying to get people to care about tech policy all that time. And of course, it's very abstract and it's very technical. It's hard to make it urgent. And I've come up with all kinds of metaphors and so on. Turns out that the secret is you let people swear. And suddenly they become very engaged with the subject.
Yeah, so works for me every single time. Yeah.
So Enshittification is this dirty word I came up with to describe how platforms go bad. I don't know if you want me to go through like the stages of Enshittification.
Yeah, sure. I think it will help.
I like to use Facebook as an example. They're kind of the canonical example here.
Sure.
So in stage one of Enshittification, a platform is good to its end users, but it locks them in. So Facebook in 2006 opens up to the general public, and they say like, look, I know all of you have an account on MySpace, but I don't know if you realize this. MySpace is owned by like this evil, crapulent, senescent, immortal vampire Australian billionaire named Rupert Murdoch, who spies on you with every hour that God sends. And the last thing anyone should ever want is to be on social media owned by a billionaire that spies on you, right? So come to Facebook, and we'll never spy on you, and we'll just show you the things you asked to see. And so we pile in, and we lock ourselves in because you love your friends, but they're a pain in the ass, and you can't agree on what like board game you're going to play this weekend. So you definitely can't agree on when it's time to leave Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg knows this, and he understands that so long as you love your friends more than you hate him, he can make life worse for you, and you'll stay there. So that's stage two, making things good for business customers by making them bad for end users. So it goes to advertisers, and he says, do you remember we told these rubes we weren't going to spy on them? Obviously, that was a lie. We spy on them from asshole to appetite. And if you give us a remarkably small amount of money, we will target ads to them with exquisite fidelity. And because we're such dedicated craftspeople, we've got this whole building full of anti-fraud engineers who are going to make sure that when you give us $1 to show an ad to a kind of user, we're going to stuff that ad in that user's face. And then he goes to the publishers and he says, do you remember we told these suckers we were only going to show them the thing they asked to see? Also a lie. Take stuff from your website, put it on my website, add a link to the bottom. We'll cram it into the eyeballs of people who never asked to see it. Some of them will click the link, free traffic. So they pile in, they get locked in too. They become dependent on us. And then in stage three of Enshittification.
Us being Facebook.
On us, the users.
Oh, okay.
Right? So we're locked to each other. The businesses are locked to us. Now, stage three, they make things worse for the business customers too. Ad targeting fidelity goes way down. Ad prices go way up. Ad fraud explodes. Procter & Gamble in 2017 zeroed out its $200 million per year surveillance advertising spend, saw a $0 drop in sales because to a first approximation, all those ads disappeared down the fraud hole. Right. Advertisers had to put the whole article if they wanted it shown just to their subscribers, let alone recommended, so they're fully substitutive now. No one's going to their website, and the only way to monetize it is with this corrupt ad network. And we've got this feed that is got this homeopathic residue of stuff we asked to see. The void is filled with things people pay billions of dollars to show us, and they're getting raw blind. So this is ideal for Facebook. All the value is withdrawn except for the minimum needed, but it's kind of a brittle equilibrium because the difference between I hate Facebook, but I can't seem to stop coming here, and I hate Facebook and I'm not coming back. Facebook panics. Being technical people, they have a technical term for panicking. They call it pivoting. And so Mark Zuckerberg, one morning he arises from his sarcophagus, and he says, hearken to me, brothers and sisters, for I have had a vision. I know I told you that your future would be arguing with your most racist uncle using this primitive text interface I invented so that I could non-consensually rate the ability of Harvard undergraduates. However, the true future is that I will convert you and everyone you love into a legless, sexless, low-polygon, heavily surveilled cartoon character so that I can imprison you in this virtual world I stole from a 25-year-old satirical dystopian cyberpunk novel that I call the metaverse. And that is the final stage of Enshittification, the giant pile of shit.
Okay, so everything's fine then.
It's great.
Yeah, so I mean, implicit in that is this idea that stage one of Enshittification was that they provided something that people wanted to use.
Yeah.
There was something good there.
Yeah, I mean, people found friends, they made communities, we got Me Too out of it, we got Black Lives Matter out of it, we got all kinds of social movements because people were able to find each other.
Sure.
I mean, the problem with Facebook isn't that you had a place to talk to your friends.
Right.
The problem with Facebook is that once you were locked in because you loved your friends, Mark Zuckerberg could ruin your life and know you weren't going to leave.
Right. So one interesting thing about this book is it's very easy to read. The first couple of chapters is case studies.
Yeah.
So you go through Twitter, you go through Facebook, you go through Amazon, you list the enshittification of these platforms.
Yeah.
Like, what isn't? So it seems like it's almost inevitable. This enshittification, like every platform you can name. Is there a platform that?
Sure. Yeah, so I don't think it's inevitable. So there's like a kind of simplistic answer to this, which is like, oh, well, you, the almighty consumer, failed to shop with sufficient care. And so because you weren't willing to pay for the product, you became the product and it's all your fault. I think that's nonsense. It's like you didn't recycle hard enough and that's why there's a wildfire, right? Your consumption choices aren't what dictated this stuff. Sure. There's also a temptation to say, oh, well, it's these like ketamine-addled Zuckermuskian failures that are running the world. And clearly they're terrible people, but they're just filling a void that was created by policy. You know, Elon Musk pops his clogs tonight from too much ketamine, there will be an overnight succession battle, and 12 horrible big balls will battle to the death, and whoever emerges victorious will be indistinguishable from him. Sure. The real culprits are the policymakers who created the enshittigenic policy environment that guarantees that people who do the worst things in the worst way will make the most money. Sure. In living memory, named individuals took policy decisions that they were warned about at the time, that this would be the end result. They did it anyway, and they walk around polishing their fake Nobel Prizes in economics, doing six-figure consulting jobs for blue-chip companies, and never worrying that someone's sizing them up for a pitchfork. And this is one of the things I aim to change with this book.
Sure. And I mean, you're referring to lawmakers, regulators,
economists, regulators.
Sure.
Yeah.
But how much of this is, look, I mean, I'm with you, everything is getting, it feels like everything's getting shitty.
Yeah.
How much of this is just, yo, hey, I'm talking to you at home, watching this on the internet. Get the off of social media. Just get the off it.
So,
get off of Twitter. Get off this.
I wish it was that simple, right? But if you're on Facebook because that's where the people who have the same rare disease as you are hanging out, or that's the only way you can stay in touch with the family you left behind when you emigrated.
It's okay. Forget about them.
Sorry. I mean, I hear you, right? But it's a big lift, right? It is a big lift. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be. You know, when Facebook was trying to get users off of MySpace, they didn't say, oh, come to Facebook, read our superior privacy policy and smug solidarity or solitude until your dumb friends get the message and join you. They gave them a bot. And you gave that bot your login and password, and it went to MySpace several times a day, grabbed everything waiting for you, impersonating you, put it in your Facebook feed, and you could reply to it. That's called interoperability. And over the last 20 years, we've expanded IP law to make that kind of stuff illegal. When Mark Zuckerberg did it to Rupert Murdoch, that's progress. If we do it to Mark Zuckerberg, that's piracy. With these guys, it's always disruption for thee and never for me. We could change the policy environment so that we could evacuate the platforms, right? But if we just shatter the platforms, we shatter all those communities that matter to people, and they really do matter. It's how we get solidarity.
I don't know. I hate everyone on social media, so I'm having. But okay. But then even if what you're saying is true, then what? Maybe this is just a natural cycle of capitalism meeting innovation. In that these ideas start pure. They start with connecting humans. Money gets involved so that they can connect more humans, and then it corrupts everything, and then the whole thing turns to shit. And then it's on us to move over to the next thing or quit it, you know?
So historically, that's the way it worked, right? But historically, we had antitrust laws that we enforced, which we did for 4 years under Biden. We've stopped doing now, except for companies that Donald Trump doesn't like.
Why do we stop doing now?
Because there's this guy who's decided that he's just going to use it against companies that aren't sufficiently deferential to him and don't give him a little gold trophy that they assemble for him.
Give him what he wants.
Well, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, you know, these companies, they bought all their competitors, right? Google, like, it's not Willy Wonka's idea factory. It's rich Uncle Pennybags, right? They buy other people's toys and play with them. You take away Google's predatory acquisitions, they wouldn't have a mobile stack, they wouldn't have an ad tech stack, they wouldn't have server management, they wouldn't have document collaboration, they wouldn't have navigation. They haven't made a successful consumer-facing product in this millennium, right? Everything they make dies. They only have successful products when they buy them from other people and operationalize them. So, you know, this is
talking mad shit about Google right now, man.
Yeah. But it's not like this fell on our heads or the iron laws of economics dictated it. We decided not to enforce antitrust law. And the economists who said, oh, no, monopolies are actually good. Today, when we're like surrounded by monopolies, they're like, how do you know it's our fault? This is like we used to not have a rat problem because we used rat poison. And these guys said, you don't need the rat poison. Rats are eating our faces off. And they're like, why do you think that's my my fault, right? Maybe it's like sunspots that ushered in the time of the rat by making them more fecund than at any time in human history. And yes, it's true, the rats did buy the rat poison factories and shut them down, but we're not using rat poison anymore. That's just Pareto optimal, economically rational behavior, right? So like these are not mysterious causes. You have to have the kind of specific neurological injury that you can only get by paying for an economics degree to not understand how this arose.
Okay. So your solution is to just increase pressure from regulators?
No, I think we have like 4 levers we can pull on to make the tech platforms work better, and it's what used to make them work better.
Oh, sorry, before you go on to that, I just you probably forget this because you're hitting me with a lot here. How much of this is just this nostalgia play for the old internet, you know? And we've had nostalgia even before internet. We've had nostalgia for the films used to be better, Typhoid used to be better back in the day, you know? So it's like maybe there's this nostalgia play in your head of this older internet that was made by the smartest people on the planet that only the next 10% of smart people could use.
Sure.
And we had this internet where it was just a very good faith, altruistic thing that people were trying to problem solve. And now we've democratized the internet to a point where anyone can log on from their toilet seat. And so now you have a bunch of morons on the internet. And so, yes, things have gotten shittier, but it's gotten shittier because all the dumbasses have gone to internet now.
Some of us had very long Ethernet cables that would reach our bathrooms, even back then. So to quote one of my favorite TDS alums, John Hodgman, nostalgia is a toxic impulse. And I'm not nostalgic here. I think that we did have an old good internet, and that the failings of the old good internet were not that we had a place where we could change how it worked, or when tech companies screwed us over, we could alter how their technology worked. The failings was that our normie friends couldn't use it, because I like a lot of the people who couldn't figure out how to use PPP.
Sure.
And I'm glad that they showed up. The thing is that tech bosses want you to think that having normies accessible on the internet is somehow inseparable from them harming us, right? That there's no way you could have friends without Mark Zuckerberg being in the conversation. There's no way you can search the internet without Sundar Pichai knowing what color underwear you're wearing. There's no way you could have a phone that works unless you have a factory in China with a suicide net around it, right? Sure. And I think that these are absolutely separable. These are not things that go together naturally. These are things that they have glued together. And my goal is to build a new good internet where we take the parts that we like and we make them easy so that our friends can use them too, and we get rid of the parasitic billionaires who sit in the middle and ruin everything.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So, look, I mean, I agree with you. Get rid of the parasitic billionaires, but some of the problem with the internet are my friends. Those people also need to get off the internet.
Look, I think you're right that people can use technology in terrible ways, but I also think that, like, there's a lot of reasons to be angry right now, and a lot of them have to do with the conduct that gave rise to tech monopolies and other kinds of monopolies. Okay. Right?
But before just because of limited time, I did want to talk about what is the solutions.
Sure.
You had some.
So there were 4 things that used to keep tech companies in check, and we can bring them back. So one was that they had competitors. We can do antitrust again. It's not like it's trying to figure out how to like build pyramids without power tools, right? We know how to do this, right?
It feels like the pyramids are easier to build than getting antitrust laws back in.
It took 20 years from the time we passed the Sherman Antitrust Act to the time we broke up Standard Oil. It's a long-term project, right? The best time to prevent monopoly formation is before
right now
they
during
form.
the MAGA presidency.
Yeah.
This is the best time to do it.
But we also need to regulate, and we're going to have to do this obviously now at the state and local level. So we have Lena Khan, who's now co-chair of Zoran Mamdani's transition team. She's figuring out how to bring the same vigor that she brought. So we have lots of opportunities there. We need to make tech workers unionized again, because when tech workers had power, it was because they were scarce, and then that scarcity went away and they lost the power. And your ability to say to your boss, I'm not going to enshittify that product that I missed my mother's funeral to ship on time because the guy across the street will hire me, that went out the window when tech fired 500,000 tech workers. Tech workers had the mistaken belief that they were temporarily embarrassed founders and that they didn't need a union, that they weren't workers. They need a union, because tech workers that aren't working behind a keyboard, those tech workers, they're peeing in bottles or they're being injured at 3 times the national rate in an Amazon warehouse. That's how tech bosses treat the workers they're not afraid of. And the last thing we need to do is bring back interoperability. We need to make it legal to change how the technology that you use works, so that, for example, you can unlock your printer so it'll take generic ink. You know that because it's illegal to change your printer, to modify your printer, the 4 printer companies have raised the price of ink to the point where it is the most expensive fluid you can buy today without a license as a civilian. At $10,000 a gallon, it would be cheaper to print your grocery list with the semen of a Kentucky Derby winning stallion.
Oh, wow.
Right? So we need to just bring back interoperability too.
Okay. And interoperability will allow us to end enshittification on, let's say, Facebook. How?
Well, it'll let you do what Mark Zuckerberg did to Rupert Murdoch. You could have a way to be on, say, Blue Sky or Mastodon and have the posts that your friends post on Facebook show up in your feed there. So you don't have to choose between the place where they respect you and the people who matter to you. You can have a foot in both camps,
You can take your data wherever you want it.
But you can continue to interact with those people too, right? In the same way that, like, if you don't like the way T-Mobile's treating you and you want to go to, I don't know, like another carrier, you do like 7 seconds of administrivia and then your phone just starts ringing on it. Nobody cares what network you're on. No one ever called up a friend and said, dude, you would not believe whose SIM is in my phone today. Yeah. It is genuinely weird that it matters which network you're on and not who you want to talk to.
Yes. Well, that's great. Doctor, I've been reading your work since I was in college. It's really great to finally meet you. You're the best. Thanks for fighting for electronic digital rights.
So
You're the
honored.
best. And enshittification is available now. Cory Doctorow.